Hi there. I'm going to be talking about the EVH Wofgang Special in this video, and I won't actually be playing the guitar because there's so many great demos of guys playing this guitar here on YouTube already. I couldn't possibly add anything to that, so I'll just be talking a bit more detail about the specs of the instrument and some of the features and what I like and don't like about it. I'll start off with the frets, which are made out of stainless steel, and what that means is they won't wear out. I'll put up a picture of my Telecaster here to show you what fret wear looks like. These should never get to that point, or at least it'll take a long time to get to that point. The other nice little bonus is they always feel smooth, just like they were cleaned and polished. They always have that silky smooth feeling. It's always a pleasure to bend notes on these frets. The downsides are if you ever do have to get a fret job done, it's going to be more expensive because stainless steel is harder, so it'll take longer to work with. The other thing some people have complained about is stainless steel frets give an odd pinging sound when you play. Now, I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm just saying I've never heard that from this guitar. The frets are also vintage sized, which means they're small. They're narrow this way, and they're not very tall. And from a playing standpoint, that means you feel the wood every time on your fingertip every time you fret a note. Some people find that comforting, some people won't like it. If you're used to an Ibanez neck, which has really tall frets, you may not like this. Moving on to the neck, it's very small here, 1 5/8. A normal neck would be 1 11/16, and a wide neck would be 1 3/4. Now, even though there's only an 1/8 of an inch difference between those three sizes, it does make a huge difference when you grab the neck. If you don't have one of these in your local music store and you're thinking of ordering one online, maybe try to find a guitar that has a 1 5/8 inch nut and see if you can live with it, because it can feel toy-like, off-putting to some people. The neck itself has next to nothing on it as far as finish goes. I'm assuming it's just a thin coat, maybe of nitrocellulose or something like that. It does feel like bare wood, which is nice. If you like that broken in feel on a neck, you'll love this neck. The fretboard edges have also been rolled over, and that means there's a guy that goes in there with a tool and just rolls them over, rounds them over so they're not sharp, and that adds to that broken in feel. The neck itself on the Special is quarter sawn maple in the back, and it's bird's eye maple fretboard glued on. There's a double truss rod that runs through here. That truss rod is what keeps the neck straight and lets you adjust the straightness of the neck. And it goes both ways, and it actually runs right into the headstock, apparently. So no problems about the neck warping. What you do have to worry about, though, and this is very important, is if you live in a dry environment, like a desert, or if you have a long winter, you're going to have low humidity, and the wood will shrink, and the frets won't. And what you'll have is, when you do this, you'll feel every fret as you run, at the end of every fret as you run your hand along. It's a horrible feeling. So you'll have to invest in some kind of humidifier and keep your humidity at about 40 or 50% to keep this neck happy. Moving on to the heel, they did a good job here. They've trimmed this down, and they've moved one of the screws back and trimmed some stuff here. They've rounded it off, and they've even trimmed it that way. So this is at a slight angle. They've basically taken out as much wood as they can and still keep the joint strong. And it's great for accessing the upper frets because you don't have as much wood in your way in the palm of your hand. I actually wish Fender would do this on some of their Telecasters and Stratocasters. For those of you that don't know, EVH, the EVH brand, is actually owned by Fender. The front pin is far enough forward that it balances the guitar nicely when you're wearing a strap. The further back, basically, this pin is, depending on the body shape, when you let go of the guitar on a strap, it will want to dive like that. Gibson SGs are the worst for this because they have their pin somewhere around here, around the 20th fret, and it always dives. Telecasters and Les Pauls are fairly good. They're about here. But a Strat and this guitar also is the best because it's forward. They say you're supposed to be able to take your hands off the guitar, bow, and then when you come up, the guitar is in the same spot it was. The pickup switch is reversed, and that's just the way Eddie Van Halen likes it, but it's easy to fix that. All you have to do is just go in here and unscrew this, loosen this ring, and flip the switch around and then retighten it. Basically, it means when it's up like this, you're playing the back pickup, and when it's down, you're playing the neck pickup. The knobs are low friction, which means they're very easy to turn. I kind of don't like that because I find I can hit them sometimes, and when you hit the volume back a bit, you lose some of that brightness. They're shaped like MXR knobs, which is kind of cool, and the markers here on them glow in the dark. One thing I don't like is the way the pickups are mounted. They're screwed directly into the wood. Now, Eddie Van Halen says that makes the helps with the tone. I don't know if that's true. I'd rather be able to adjust the height of the pickup, which you can't do very easily on these at all. The only way to do that would be to unscrew it, chisel out some wood if you want them to lower, or add some shims if you want them to go up. And I'm not about to spend that much time doing that. The black coils on each of these pickups do have adjustable pole pieces, which you can get in there with a little flathead screwdriver, and you can adjust the height a bit. I did do this pickup just a little bit on the low E string. I'd love to lower this one down because I just find it a bit boomy, but I can't do that obviously. But having said all that, they're not bad, and they're actually pretty good the way they are. It would just be nice to be able to tweak them a little bit. Also, the way they're screwed in there is really weird. They're not using that one big hole. They're using two small screws on either side of it. And I'll put up a picture here if I can. And that just makes replacing these pickups with something else, if you ever wanted to, way harder, way harder. I'll test the resistance of the pickups here right before your very eyes. This would be the neck pickup, which looks like it's about 15.7, 15.8. That's the neck. And the bridge pickup, 13.6, 13.7. As far as I know, there are Alnico 2 magnets in these pickups, but I have no way of testing that or verifying that. It comes with a very, very good quality case. Two things that are worth noting is that the case itself can be closed with the tremolo arms still screwed on. There's a little hole in the top that allows you to do that. And the bottom of the case, when it's in this position, it would be the outside bottom, is slightly curved so that it doesn't bang against your knee when you're carrying it, which is a cool little feature. Finally, moving on to the tremolo, they stamped this EVH logo here on the bottom, which is, to me, just means they have to retool their machinery to stamp that, and it just adds to the price of the guitar. So there's my little rant about that. Having said that, the tremolo is fine. I'm 99% sure it's the Korean-made Floyd Rose, and the reason I'm saying that is because underneath this plate, it's supposed to say "Made in Germany" if it's a German-made Floyd, and this one doesn't say that. And one quick way you can tell if you're ever in a store, whether it's a Korean or a German-made Floyd, is if you look at the saddles. You can see this way here, and then the vertical surface. On a German-made Floyd, it's going to be just a 90-degree corner. And on the Korean-made ones, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a slight 45-degree bevel right here. And that's how you can tell it's the Korean-made version. And of course, this guitar has the D tuna, which is, I think, Eddie Van Halen's invention. I'm not sure. What it does is when it's in, the low string is an E, and when you pull it back like that, you're instantly down into D. Pull it back, you're back in E, and it works very well. There's a small screw on the side to give you fine adjustments for the tuning. And the only way you're ever going to get something like this to work is if your tremolo is set to dive only. And that's the way this one comes out of the box. Basically, you can only lower the pitch, pull down. I can't pull up on the arm; it doesn't do anything because on this one, it's resting against the body of the guitar, and that's what gives you the stability to be able to use this. Otherwise, if you try to play with that on a floating tremolo that worked both ways, it would just mess up the tuning on all of your strings. And the fact that it's against the body like this gives you a nice solid surface. It helps with your tuning. And what happens when a tremolo is floating, if you bend notes, you're introducing more tension on the tremolo in one direction. And what will happen is if you're trying to do double stops where you're playing one note and bending another one, the bending note will cause that fretted note to go slightly flat, and you'll notice it more on the low strings. So this one does have great stability because it's set up to dive only. If I have time, I'll show you a floating tremolo I have and what happens when you bend strings on it. So here's what can happen with a floating trem. This one goes both ways. So everything is finely balanced, and you have the springs in behind pulling the bridge one way, and the tension of the strings pulling it the other way, and it's just finely balanced. And what happens is when you introduce more tension on the strings by bending, it's going to cause the whole bridge to move slightly flat. And you can hear it if I do this, but I don't pick this note, I'll just let this note ring and I'll just bend this and you'll see what'll happen. See, so what's happening is this note, the low E, is going flat because I'm introducing more tension with this bend. And that can really cause all kinds of havoc all over the place. And you also have to bend harder, because the harder you're pulling up to bend, the more the bridge is going flat, and the higher you have to bend to compensate for that.